Hello, everyone. I am Virginia Murray. I am the host of Talk Connected Podcast. What is Talk Connected Podcast, right? A Talk Connected Podcast is a space and a place where we talk about real life issues, real life challenges, just different things that go on within our everyday lives over a short period of time or over longevity, right? So Talk Connected Podcast is just here on this good old internet, creating spaces for connectivity with our online community. Take the message, share the message. If you can get a piece of something out of it, I truly hope that it touches your life. In a lot of our episodes, we kind of start off with explaining what a check in is. And so today I'm going to ask you, have you checked in on yourself? And I'm not going to deeply go into what a check-in is. I want you to check out some other episodes that go more into a deep dive about what a check-in is. But I will briefly describe right now what a check-in is. So a check-in is just a moment or moments that you take throughout your day and you just ask yourself and you check in on yourself, how am I doing right now? How am I feeling? Is there anything that I can give myself in this moment or throughout the day that will keep me in a level place? Or if I'm feeling stressed or tired or anxious or down, is there something that I could give myself to make myself feel a little bit better so that I can push through to the rest of the day? Right. So if you have not checked in on yourself, I actually encourage you to take a moment to pause the podcast, check in on yourself, ask yourself if there's anything you can give yourself today in this moment, and it can be as small as taking a couple breaths and grounding yourself. It could be, you know what, I'm going to take a bubble bath and read that book that I've been wanting to read. Do something that's going to pour into you. Checking in on yourself and self-care should not feel like a chore. It should feel like decompression, and it's not a long-term solution. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to check in on myself and I'm going to have the best day ever. My stress is all going to be gone. No, it's a moment, right? It's temporary. In order to have longevity in decompression and self care and feeling like your life is grounded, you have to get into a space and a place of that. And that takes work and consistency. Have you ever started a self care routine and you're just like, this isn't working. This should be working by now. A lot of people don't tell you and they don't mention that self-care is a thing of consistency. It's a thing of adding it into your routine. It's a thing of making it a habit. Yes, taking care of yourself should be a habit, a good habit. And eventually, once you are consistent in that and putting the work in, then you'll feel the longevity effects of just being in more of a peaceful place in your life. So remember, check-ins are part of self-care, but they are temporary care to give yourself moments of relief and decompression. So they're also good, before we go into the episode, they're also good for self-reflection because a lot of times we ask other people, hey, how you doing? How's your day? People come into work. How you doing? Oh, okay, great. That's nice. We are in a grocery store. We ask the cashiers, hey, how are you? How's your day going? Is it pretty good? Right? But how many times do we ask ourselves? How many times do we give ourselves moments of reflection to really plug into and tune into how are we doing? How are we feeling? And really mean it. Really mean it. Not put on the mask that we may put on with other people. Oh, yeah, I'm good. Thanks for asking. When really things are not okay. Right? Sometimes things are not okay, but we just try our best to hold it all together. Or we don't put our vulnerable side in front of everyone because we don't know everyone that ask us how we're doing and if we're okay. Right? So I want you to genuinely take time to self-reflect. Check-ins are good for self-reflection, to really see where you're at, to really give yourself an opportunity to process what's going on in your life, or to start to process it. And if you don't start processing it, it at least gives you an awareness of what's going on in your life. Maybe you knew that you were stressed, but you didn't realize the heaviness that you were carrying with that stress. Maybe you realized you were tired and exhausted, but you didn't realize until you really checked in on yourself and you started to feel everything that was happening. You didn't realize how much weight that exhaustion and heaviness was having on you, how it's affecting you mentally, emotionally, or even physically. Because sometimes when we are exhausted and we're just going through the motions of every day, and we're just like, I gotta do it, I gotta get up, I gotta function, I gotta go do this. Sometimes it just builds up and it piles up, right? And then all of a sudden, it's just like, sometimes it hits us. It hits us and we're just like, I didn't realize I was this far. I didn't realize I dug a hole this deep. So just, I say that to say sometimes these check-in moments are good to bring insight and self-awareness to what's going on in your life, right? So in this episode, I want to kind of dig into how the course of our life can change, right? And we'll get into what changes the course of our lives. But what really changes the course of our lives is not the main focus. I want to kind of talk about, briefly the ins and outs of what happens when the course of our life changes. I want to say what happens when the course of our lives change, right? Have you ever just woke up with this revelation or had this insight and you just looked around in your life and it's just like all of a sudden, do I feel like I fit in here anymore? Do I feel like life, what I'm doing is working for me right now? And sometimes I don't mean, the job that you have. I mean sometimes, but sometimes not. Sometimes it's like you look at the people that you're hanging around, the places that you're going to, it just doesn't feel the same anymore. So, what happens when we feel like we're in a different place, in a different space? It's almost like being caught between the version of you that you've been operating in day to day versus a piece of you that is pulling you towards change. You ever wake up and it's just like something's got to change? I can't keep doing this anymore, and not the good things that you're doing, the productive things, the things that you're progressing and advancing in. I mean, the things and the places where we've been doing it for so long that sometimes it's just like, okay, it's time to level up. It's time to go to a new place and space. And one of the things that really I've had an enlightenment about, and it was actually today. I had an enlightenment today that actually inspired me to do this podcast. And we're going to talk about it because my enlightenment came from this little devotional book that I was gifted. So I'm going to read a page, or the page that inspired me today, and then I really want to get into it because what it made me think about and reflect on is the environment that we're in and the company that we keep has the ability to affect our choices. Now, we have self-control, right? We have self-discipline, 100%, right? We are our own people, but realistically, the environments that we're in and the people that we associate with and keep in those environments, sometimes they are reflective of the choices that we make. And I'll dive into that just a little bit more. I'm going to read this little passage in this little inspirational devotional book that was given to me. So it says, encouraging friends. So this is it starts off with a daily devotional of a passage out the Bible, and this one comes from Proverbs 13:20. It says, spend time with the wise and you will become wise, but the friends of fools will suffer. So spend time with the wise, and you will become wise, but the friends of fools will suffer. Proverbs 13:20 NCV version. So then it comes with this little passage, right? And the verse itself started to make me think. But then it comes with this little passage and it says, humans were created for relationship. We are hardwired to want and need others. Because of our design, friendships are vitally important to our lives and also our walk with God. It is a widely known fact that friends either bring us up or drag us down. Likewise, friends can either encourage or discourage us in our pursuit of godliness. As we seek counsel from our friends for the decisions we make in life, it is important that those friends are pushing us to follow Christ and not our own desires. Your friends have the power to lead you closer to God or push you away from Him. Surround yourself with people who will echo God's words to you rather than lead you off course with their advice. Evaluate yourself to make sure you are being the kind of friend who will lead others closer to Christ by your influence and your advice. This right here, it gave me the insight and the revelation of number one, right? Who is the company that I'm keeping and how are they influencing my life choices? Number two, am I taking accountability of being a good friend? Am I creating the environment for other people that I want them to help create for me in my space? So I really love this because even though it talks about, a walk with God, and that's very important to me, right? It's very important to me, my walk with Christ, my walk with God, but it brought up so many other things because, earlier, y'all, earlier back in my life, just hanging out with people that were not they were not good for the environment that I was trying to create for myself and my life. Right? I'm pretty sure most of us, I'm going out on a limb and I'm gonna say most of us had, friendships or relationships with different people or dynamics with different people to whereas when we were in a space with them, it was kind of like we just kind of blurred the lines a little bit, right? Oh, you gonna do that? Maybe I'm a partake in that too, if the people we were hanging out with were fun and they were doing this and that's what you were in the mood for, then maybe it's just like let me go see what that's about as well. So sometimes the environment that we're in and the people that we choose to be in our environment, it kind of pushes us towards certain decision making. And that's not to say that you're not making that decision on your own. No one else is accountable for the decisions that you choose to make in your life. However, the people and the environments that we place ourselves around have influence. They have influence. And I'll give you an example. There is no way that we can kind of sit and say, okay, I am on this sugar-free diet. I'm cutting sugar from my diet 100% for the next 30 days. And then you call your friend and you say, hey, let's get together at this bakery around the corner. Right? Does that make sense? If I'm cutting sugar out from my diet, then why am I asking you to meet me at a bakery? Right? You walk through the bakery, you just smell all the cupcakes, you smell all the cookies, you smell all the good deliciousness of desserts being made. And it's just like you put yourself in an environment where you were susceptible to the influence of temptation for something that you said that you did not want to do. If you were on a diet, why are you entering into a bakery, to put yourself in the environment so that your influence can be swayed a certain type of way? We put ourselves in environments. We have to be selective about when we are intentional with where we are going in our lives and what we are doing in our lives. When we make our mind up that we see. This is the thing too. We don't have to know exactly where we're going. We don't have to know exactly every single step and it's planned out to the T of what we're doing in our lives. But the moment that we decide that we're going to be intentional about us, we're going to be intentional about what we're doing. I might have to still figure out what it is I want to do in my career. I might have to still figure out, what I want to do with XYZ, but I know that there's something. I know that there's something. And when there's this revelation and this insight that we have in our lives, and it's like we're being pulled to change the course of our lives from the old version of us and what we were doing into a new thing, into a new thing. The course of our lives is changing and we're being pulled into that new thing, right? We all of a sudden become intentional. Have you ever had that light bulb moment where it's just like, I need to do something different? The course of my life has to change. And then all of a sudden, for some people, this is what happened to me personally, right? I had this revelation, I had this insight, and I said, I want to get more intentional about my life. There's way more to life than what I've been doing in this space. I want to grow more. I want to develop. And all of a sudden, I started to lose friends, right? Because my focus shifted. And I couldn't pour into the fun friend anymore. I couldn't pour into the this type of friend, right? Because we all got different categories of friends. Sometimes you got a friend that you love to go out to eat with. You got a friend that you go to the gym with. You got your work friends, right? There were some things in my life that I just could not have one foot in if I was headed in a different way. And that's not to say that that person or those people were bad people, right? That's not to say that they could have been the greatest people, but my life was pulling me to a different course. My life was pulling me for a change personally. My life was pulling me to progress and advance in a way where I had to be molded into the version of me that I wanted to walk into, right? With the new insight that I had gotten. And so sometimes what it looks like is the shedding off of old things, because everything old or everything that you are doing, once you decide to do something new, everything and everyone cannot come with you, right? That's why sometimes our lives are in time and seasons. Time and seasons. Things that we do in our lives, careers that we have, people in our lives, relationships. How many of us have that one relationship where we're just like, I learned a lot from that and I really took that and I grew, but it wasn't supposed to come with me. Right. And like always, I say relationships do not mean romantic relationships. They can be business partnerships. They can be friends. They can be associates. They can be whatever type of relationship dynamic you have. Majority of us have been in some type of relationship dynamic where it taught us something, but it wasn't supposed to come with us in the next thing. Right. And let me tell you that that verse as well, walk with the wise and become wise. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. So what that does is it breaks down two categories. Surround yourselves in the environment with people that are like-minded for you. People that are like-minded and conducive to what you're doing with the intentionality of your life. It matters. They don't have to think like you, be like you. They don't have to be the same as you. It does not have to be agreeable, right? That's not what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is surround yourself with like-minded people, people that are being intentional. You may be intentional and purposeful about different things, but you're both being intentional about what it is that you're doing. If you are business minded, right, get around other business minded people, because those are the people that you're going to be able to bounce ideas off of. They might have a little wisdom on this. You might have a little wisdom on that. And when you come together, it's a collaboration. And I tell people all the time, we need people. We cannot do this thing called life by ourselves. And if you don't have any family or friends, I always encourage people, join a organization of something that you love to do: a runners club, a hiking club, a biking club, a book club, a sewing club, a crocheting club. Join a church if you want to get involved in a church. Volunteer somewhere. Surround yourselves with people that are good for what you're doing in your life. Good for what you're doing in your life. There's this saying, right? Birds of a feather flock together. And I used to be so against that saying, so against it. I used to say birds of a feather do not flock together, because I got all different type of friends. I got one friend that does this, and I would never do that. I got one friend that does that and that, and that's not me. But if they want to do it, that's cool, right? That's on them. But when I think about the saying even more, it reminds me of the verse, Proverbs 13:20. Walk with the wise and become wise. When you create an environment of like-minded people, people that are on the same trajectory of, just different, and being pulled into a positive change of course in their lives. Those are the people that are going to understand. And that's not to say that someone not doing what you're doing cannot understand, because people can. People can. But the more that you surround yourselves with people that are like-minded, the more revelation and insight and understand, the more you kind of, I'll give you an example, right? If I want to hang around, people that are headed in the same direction as me, when I hang around them, like, it is motivational for me. It is so motivational for me. I'm like, yeah, okay. And you're going to do that. And I'm going to do this. Okay, you're going to do that. Ooh, that's a good idea. I was thinking about something that I was doing, right? And we're just like, it gives me motivation and it pours inside of me. Whereas if I just went to the bakery, right, where I'm not supposed to be with sweets, but if I just called a friend and said, hey, let's just go to the bakery and eat cupcakes. Delicious, right? Very delicious. Cupcakes are delicious, or whatever kind of dessert that you like. But what got done to help me take the steps of progression that I want to take in my life? And that's not to say you can't hang out with no one and get a cupcake. That's not the focus of this podcast episode, right? The focus of this podcast is to look at the environment that you're in and be selective about the people that are in your environment, because they do have the power to pull you down based off of influence and you making decisions, or motivate you and continue to lift you up. Right? And like I'll say again, we have the power to make the decisions, and we are accountable for our own decision making. But the environment that we put ourselves in causes influence of decision making in our lives. If you are in school and you have a paper due, you have a choice. You can go to the study group with your friends from class, or your friends over here that say, hey, let's go out and have a nice time tonight, right? If you have an exam in the morning time and you choose the friends that are saying, let's go out and hang out and have a good time tonight, a time will be had, okay? A time will be had. But when you go to take that exam in the morning, will you be prepared? Or will the influence of the decision that you made to be in the environment that you put yourself in, with the people that you put yourself in, will that impact you in a way where it's going to just pull you down just a little bit? Versus if you have an exam in the morning and you go and you hang out with that group of friends that is putting together a study group, a time will still be had, right? Because you guys can have the snacks, you can have the notes, you can have this and that, and you guys will pour into each other. You're going to make sure, like, hey, don't forget this part. Oh, yeah, and I needed help with it. You're going to bring it together and you're going to collaborate. You're going to get a good night's rest and you're going to feel so energized and poured into that when you go and you sit in front of that test, there's going to be a confidence about you because you prepared. You put yourself in the right space. You put yourself in the right place. You surrounded yourself with the right people. So if you are in a space in life where you are waking up and you're saying, the course of my life has to change. I can't keep doing what I used to do. I can't keep sitting in what I keep sitting in and just doing in a routine of my day. I feel like the course of my life, it needs to shift and it needs to change. Therefore, you have to do something different. You have to choose different environments. You have to be selective on who you are putting in those environments. We cannot say one thing, but still be doing another. And this is not cause for saying your friends that a time will be had with if you went out, you have to get rid of them in your life, right? That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Sometimes is what I'm saying. We have to shift our focus. We have to shift our focus. And if you want me to be very realistic with you, right? Sometimes people will get left behind, temporary. And sometimes people's seasons are up in our lives. And sometimes we will have to let go to fully walk into what it is we need to walk into. We just have to figure out who those seasonal people in our lives, those temporary people are, versus those long-term people that can come with us on the journey of intentionality. If you are new to this podcast, intentional and intentionality are one of my favorite words. So it will be repeated. A time will be had with the word intentional. So, yes. So in today's episode, I just really wanted to come to you guys and I just wanted to encourage you. Number one, to look at your life and where you're at. How do you feel about the course of life that you're on right now? Do you feel like it's shifting in a way where you're being called to do something different, right? Be selective. Choose the right people of wisdom. Choose the right people with wisdom to hang around those like-minded people, right? Because that's what that means. The wise will hang out with the wise. It's just a way of saying, the purposeful people are going to hang out with the people that are choosing to be intentional about the right things in their lives and are headed towards progression. You need to choose those same people that are doing the same things. Because if you choose, to make foolish decisions, right? Because that's what the verse means when it says, "For a companion of fools suffers." Right? That was a foolish decision, knowing someone had a test in the morning and to go and hang out with people at nighttime instead of choosing the study group. Right? Foolish decision making leads to our downfall. And so be selective about the people that you are bringing with you. Be selective about the people that you are inviting into your space, into your life, that you are giving access to you. Because the environment and the people we surround ourselves or put ourselves in have the ability to pull us down or lift us up. And if you are choosing to navigate life in a way where the course of your life is changing and you're shifting in a positive direction, you don't know where you're going, you don't know what you're doing, you don't have everything set up, you don't have everything mapped up, but you know that something is just pushing you into a different space in life and it's time to do something else, right? Please, please, please be intentional. Choose right. Choose wisdom. Choose wisdom. which means choose the right thing to do. Let's make wise decisions. That's going to be, I don't know about y'all, but that's going to be my theme of the week, right? No matter when you're listening to this, you can make it your theme of the week. If it's Saturday, take that theme into next week. If it's Wednesday, take that theme into the rest of the week, right? If it is Sunday, if it is Monday, take that theme with you. How can I make wise decisions today, the next day, this week? Matter of fact, take that theme into the rest of 2026. All 2026, we are choosing to make wise decisions and watch how your life flourishes. When you choose the right thing, watch how your life flourishes. And that's not to say you're not going to come up against some challenges, right? Because how many of us have ever chose the right thing to do? And it's just like, oh, why is this thing in front of me? Why is this issue in front of me? I did right. Sometimes we are going to face some challenges. Sometimes we are going to face some issues when we make the right decision, when we make wise decisions, when we choose intentionality for our lives. We will run into some hardships. But guess what? It's all going to be okay and it's all going to work out. It will. You have overcome everything that you have went through in your life. Every mountain, you climbed it. Every ocean, you crossed it. The waves were crashing down. The water was closing in on you. You felt like your nose was just above water. You got to the other side. Always. Do not underestimate your brilliance and your resilience for what you go through in life. You just keep choosing the right people. You keep choosing the right environments. If you say you are going to do something, pursue it wholeheartedly until it is complete. Don't give up on yourself, even if people give up on you. Do not give up on yourself. And this verse, it really encouraged me because if it's one thing that I know is if everyone else gives up on me, my God will not give up on me. There's always someone in my corner. Someone in my corner. There's always someone, even if I do wrong, even if I backslide, even if I fall off of the path of the course that is changing my life, I know all I have to do is call on the name of Jesus, and that's my path. I have someone that is always there, no matter what. No matter what. And so I'm just encouraging you, do not give up on yourself. And I'll say it again, do not underestimate your brilliance and your resilience. Continue to make wise decisions. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Talk Connected Podcast. I hope that you have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of your day, whether it is the daytime, the afternoon, or the evening, whatever you have left today. I hope that it is beautiful, and I'll see you next time.